Are you looking for the best family camping tents? In this video, we will look at some of the 7 best tents on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Coleman 6-Person Instant Cabin Tent. The Coleman Instant Cabin has an enormous cult following, and when we tried it, we could see why. This is a phenomenal tent for the casual car camper and those who prefer not to mess around with complicated poles and protracted setup times. This charming little tent impressed right off the bat. We tested the 4-person version of this tent and have to say that, when they say instant, they mean it. The aluminum poles extend and collapse using a button system that is a cinch to figure out. Vertical walls, 2 large side windows, and 1 floor-to-ceiling door with an adjacent window gave a decidedly cabin-like feel. A roomy floor plan and the center height allow for easy movement and plenty of breathing room. An integrated rainfly further contributes to the ease of setup, particularly for the entry-level camper. This family camping tent isn't without its flaws, however. It can feel stuffy. The lack of a rear window and sunroof prevented the kind of airflow we prefer. We'd love to see a second door or a rear window to improve overall ventilation on this tent. That aside, this entry-level tent is perfect for weekend getaways, backyard staycations, or even for a little pop-up playhouse for kids to enjoy. At number 2. Core 6-Person Instant Cabin Tent. The pre-attached, foldable poles break down easily and ensure you are never scrambling to figure out which pole goes where. Color-coded hooks make the rainfly assembly intuitive. High-quality features like a full mesh upper area, storage pockets, a storage loft, and battery-operated interior lighting make this a well-priced, well-structured tent loaded with bells and whistles. The only issue is while the Coleman Skydome calls itself an instant tent, it really isn't one. It lacks telescopic poles or pop-open features to make it truly instant. It is, however, one of the easiest family camping tents we've ever assembled, making it a perfect middle ground for a family that wants an easier setup and a sturdy build, without the bulk of an instant tent. At number 3. Coleman 4-Person Pop-Up Tent. Be careful with this tent, it goes up so fast you could lose an eye. As far as family camping tents go, you can't get an easier setup than this pop-up tent. The rainfly is a cinch to connect and, what's more, the open roof makes this a dreamy tent for gazing up at the stars or at a tree canopy. Our son loved hanging out in it when we tested it in our front yard, which is a testimony to its excellent ventilation. This pop-up tent packs up into a large, lightweight, flat disc. While it held up fine in drizzling rain, there are only 2 guy lines to secure it to the ground, so we're skeptical it will be able to stand up to heavy winds. While it bills itself as a 4-person tent, know that it's a tight fit. We wouldn't recommend it for more than 3 people and, if you're tall, it may only be suitable for 2. At number 4. Moonlens 4 to 5-Person Instant Pop-Up Tent. If there is an easier family camping tent out there, we haven't seen it. No tent was simpler to set up and take down than the Moonlens. This pentagon-shaped tent opens and closes like an umbrella, making for a speedy and intuitive setup. The 4 windows, floor-to-ceiling door, and skylight roof allow lots of ventilation and superior cross-breeze on hot days. This is an extra roomy tent for a 4-person family, with plenty of space. However, due to the shape, it seemed impossible for this tent to actually fit 5 people as the manufacturer claims. What's more, the odd shape made it challenging to add an air mattress or inflatable sleeping pads. Still, it makes for a roomy tent for a family of 3 or 4. At number 5. Nightcat 2 to 4-Person Pop-Up Tent. We were excited to try out this tent by Nightcat. It had a ton of great online reviews and video bloggers hailed it as one of the best family tents for the price. We, unfortunately, were disappointed with our experience. While the telescoping frame opened up easily, one of the fiberglass poles popped apart when it came time to break it down. It looked easy to pop back into place, but we don't love the idea of needing to repair a tent at the end of each camping trip. What's more, the carrying bag split open the first time I zipped it shut and, from the looks of it, won't last more than 2 or 3 camping trips before it needs to be replaced. What we did like about this tent was the spacious footprint and the 2 large doors that allowed for a refreshing cross breeze. This tent has an integrated rainfly and could have been stuffy without a lot of thoughtful attention to ventilation. Additionally, while the tent can't stand on its own without the rainfly is attached to the frame. Removal of the internal tent can turn this into a sun tent, adding versatility. This could have been our best value winner, but cheap components knocked it down to the bottom of our list. The design was great, so this is a real shame of craftsmanship. At number 6. Took 3 to 4 person camping tent. Like the Night Cat, this tent can't stand on its own without the integrated rainfly. The rainfly is attached to the telescoping fiberglass poles, and you can remove the internal tent for a sun tent or a minimal camping cover. The problem is that in tent mode, the Tuk doesn't have nearly the same level of ventilation as the other tents we tried. This may not be a big deal where you are, but in Southern California, it's a big deal. While the Tuk does come equipped with 2 doors that allow for crossbreeze, we longed for a few windows. We can see this tent as a good choice for couples, but for a family camping tent, its windowless, hexagonal design had a claustrophobic feel. This isn't a bad tent, it's probably the most lightweight we tried, and it's incredibly easy to set up. If you're only going to use your tent for sleeping in mild conditions, you might like this one. If you're someone who camps with groups and likes to use their tent as an escape spot to read or a quiet space for a cranky kid to re-regulate, it's our least favorite pick. What's more, there is no way this is a 4-person tent. This is a 3-person tent at best if the 3rd person is a small child. At number 7. Coleman 4-person Skydome camping tent. The pre-attached, foldable poles break down easily and ensure you are never scrambling to figure out which pole goes where. Color-coded hooks make the rainfly assembly intuitive. High-quality features like a full mesh upper area, storage pockets, a storage loft, and battery-operated interior lighting make this a well-priced, well-structured tent loaded with bells and whistles. The only issue is while the Coleman Skydome calls itself an instant tent, it really isn't one. It lacks telescopic poles or pop-open features to make it truly instant. It is, however, one of the easiest family camping tents we've ever assembled, making it a perfect middle ground for a family that wants an easier setup and a sturdy build, without the bulk of an instant tent.